Hi everyone, and welcome back to Abundantly Minimal. Today we have a travel related video. As you can probably tell, I am not in my normal filming location. I am actually currently in Bruges, Belgium, and we're having a great time. We're currently on kind of in the last third of a business trip in Europe that Jake and I are doing as we prepare to create our additional resources for our teaching related store. Anyway, I want to share 5 specific packing tips to help you not pack poorly. There's a lot of packing mistakes people make when they're traveling that lead them to bring way too much stuff, or even worse, to be unsatisfied with what they brought, and then it creates additional frustration and problems while you're on your trip. I'm not sure if you can relate to any of these, but I'm hopeful that they'll be helpful, especially as many people are looking into new travel opportunities for this summer. Before we jump into the topics, I just want to give a quick shout out to the bed and breakfast where we're staying here in Bruges. It is absolutely lovely. So much green space. It's technically part of the UNESCO World Heritage Site, like radius of the whole town of Bruges. So it's very cool to be a part of that. The owners are absolutely lovely. And if you are vegan or plant-based, they have a vegan breakfast that is delicious. We had amazing waffles today and lots of other homemade, things that they're making themselves and with their own like herbs. And it's just been an absolutely lovely experience. So I'm going to leave their information below if you're curious checking it out, or if you're thinking about, wow, I'd never really considered traveling to Belgium before, but we've just had such a great experience. All right, that being said, let's jump into our tips. Mistake number 1 is that people often pack new items that they just got without testing them out first. I totally understand the thought process. You're excited for a new vacation and you think, well, I don't normally live in this climate, or I don't normally do these activities. Let me buy what I need before I go. And I think it makes sense in theory. Here's the issue. If you are bringing items that are brand new, you don't necessarily know how they work or how they feel. For instance, if you buy a new pair of shoes, you don't actually know if they're going to be comfortable yet until you've worn them a while and tested them out. So I encourage you, if you are planning on purchasing something new for when you travel, test it out well enough beforehand so you know if you like it or not and if it's going to work. Because there's few things that are probably worse while traveling than realizing you brought the wrong stuff. And it's not only taking up space in your bag and you have to lug it around during your trip, but also it could leave you with blisters or discomfort or just not feeling as good as you want to when you're enjoying these new activities. Mistake number 2 is that people pack items just in case. This is very common, and people might think, well, I'm going to be away, so what if this happens? What if I'll need this? And it's very possible that we end up bringing way too much that we don't even need, and it won't even be used at all during your stay. I know, for instance, here, one of the things I was thinking about was actually, do I need to bring a tripod on my trip? And I just was analyzing the pros and cons. I wasn't sure if I was going to film a video. And so actually, I'm so grateful that my husband Jake is behind the camera right now. No tripod, so it might not be as steady as before, but it works. And that's the thing I wanted to highlight with this story here. Even if you're not bringing, your perfect item that serves a certain need, you can probably make it work with something else. You don't necessarily have to have that item. So I encourage you to, rather than thinking, oh my goodness, what if this happens and I'm lost without this item, instead focus on being more creative, looking for those opportunities where you can use something else that can serve a similar purpose. And I think also there's nothing wrong with if you run out of something and you have to purchase something while you're there. In most cases, you're going to places that also have similar types of stores or access to different resources so you can get them if you need them. And a lot of accommodations even can provide certain items that you might have been without. Packing mistake number 3 is packing something just for the photos rather than the experience. Something I've noticed while traveling is that there's a lot of different styles of picture taking and video taking that I'm seeing. And I encourage you to think, through the whole process of pictures that you're taking? What are your plans with the pictures that you're taking? Because it's been interesting. I know for Jake and I, this is a business trip, so one of the things we're doing is visiting historical sites and museums, and we're documenting artifacts and things that we can use to help teachers with those topics, kind of going to the source. But it's also interesting just how popular and how heavily photographed some of these other things we're seeing are. And I know for myself, in my first trips, was taking way too many pictures of everything. But I realized, what do I actually do with the pictures when I'm done? First of all, I don't really do that much. At most, I'll take the best pictures and make like a photo book, or like show them to friends and family. In the past, I've put them in some videos. But for me, that's really the extent of it, at least, in the past. So I encourage you, before you're thinking, okay, I need to get all these shots, and if someone else is taking a picture of it, I also need to take a picture of it. Maybe don't worry about it. Reflect about what you actually want to use the pictures for. And then where this fits into packing is, I know in the past, a mistake I've made was thinking, well, I need to get pictures of myself, looking cute in these different areas with this iconic view in the background, for social media or whatever it is. And I realized that was just adding extra stress. When you see travel photos, let's say on Instagram, for instance, they might look beautiful and perfect, and they're probably heavily curated. I know some of the picturesque locations we've been in the past, there were lines of people waiting to take their photo in front of something. And the honest truth is, the weather conditions, like if it's hot out, you might be looking kind of sweaty. It just adds stress to feel like you have to wear these really nice outfits when maybe they're not the best to walk around in. Maybe they look a lot better than they feel in terms of comfort. And so I think for me, with this trip, not caring as much about how I look or trying to get pictures has been delightful, because it means that I don't have that added stress, and I didn't have to bring clothing and accessories just for the photo and not for me living my life. I'm just wearing my regular stuff, and it's been great, and it's taken a lot of pressure off. So I encourage you to be really mindful of that. And of course, there's balance. If you're thinking, well, I do want to get some of those pictures, then by all means go for it. It doesn't mean that, that's inherently wrong, but just maybe limit it or be realistic with yourself. And I think if we go in with fewer expectations, we can have a more positive experience. Packing mistake number 4 is forcing yourself to bring too much just because of the size of luggage. Unfortunately, if we're bringing luggage that's too large, not only are we tempted to fill it, that's how a lot of storage situations work. If we've got the space, we want to use it up. It's also going to be much more difficult when handling your luggage, whether it's, carrying your luggage from the airport or the train station to the hotel where you're staying, or if you have to travel, in different legs of the trip, bringing it around as you go, as well as it can be costly. If you've got a much larger bag, you're likely going to have to check that bag if you're on a flight, or you might have to pay additional fees, however you're traveling. So I really encourage you, for all 3 of those reasons, to try to pack in a smaller bag if possible. I know my husband Jake and I have traveled with our backpacks for many trips now, and it still works. There, of course, are times if maybe we've had, let's say, a 15-minute walk with the bag to where we're staying, when it's like, yeah, it's not my favorite thing to haul my stuff around on my back, and I see other people with their wheelie bags. But then I also look around, on other situations where we've been on a train and we can just have our bags with us. We don't have to worry about finding luggage storage, and it's nice to just keep your things close by. So I encourage you to not just go for the bigger bag. Maybe if that's all you have, you look into some alternative options for something that might be a little bit more compact for yourself. And also to think realistically about, how many items you actually need, how many different outfits you need. You probably don't have to do multiple outfit changes all in one day. And I know for us, since we do a little bit longer trips usually, if we're going international or further away, it's helpful to plan in a couple laundry stops. So periodically we'll stay at a hotel or Airbnb or something like that has access to a washer and dryer, so we can take care of that and have fresh clothing throughout, so we don't have to pack as many different pieces of clothing. The last packing mistake is that people are planning their trips poorly. And what do I mean by this? I think in general, when we're planning a trip, there's a lot of different information out there about what we might want to do. But it's so important that we always connect back to ourselves and our interests. You might be going to a location with a very top-rated site or different must-sees and feel the pressure, well, if it's a must-see, I have to do it, I have to see it. But you also want to tap into what you care about, and it would be a shame, in my opinion, if you gave up so much time for your trip as well as the correlated items you might have brought for that experience if you're not even going to enjoy it as much as something else. Really prioritize the types of activities that you enjoy and focus more of your time on that than trying to check the boxes of some random blog post you found online or a travel book or wherever you've been looking for your travel guidance. When we plan better, not only do we save so much time, but then you also don't have to bring in, extra accessories that maybe aren't necessary for you because you don't care about that. And I think that will ultimately help you have a much more positive experience and making sure you're bringing more of what you're actually needing. I know this video was just a quick overview of 5 tips. I'm sure I could go into many more, but I will have some of my past travel videos linked below in the description field if you're curious, as well as, like I said, the beautiful bed and breakfast here in Bruges that we're enjoying. And I hope to see you in the next video. Feel free to subscribe up here if you haven't done so already, and we'll see you next time. Bye.